3, 2, 1, and thank you for tuning into Bridge Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, BillyPrempeh, running for Congress, District 9 in New Jersey. Welcome, Billy, and thank you for coming here, man. I really appreciate it. We're very excited to get into it, man.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You know, I wanted to be on this. I remember you were telling me about starting up this podcast. I love the idea with what you guys are doing. And you initially pitched doing Zoom. I wanted to do this in person.
Yeah, man, we're all for it. Speaking of that, you in person, we do follow you on social media, and I just wanted to give you a little praise where it's deserved. You're always out in the community, man. You're always doing something out in the community, and it really seems genuine to me. So, you know, we're all for it, man.
Well, you're gonna find out just how genuine I am.
Yeah. Okay. And this is by no means a conventional interview. I mean, we do have some questions here for Billy, but we wanted it to be more of a conversation, a kind of back and forth, and we're gonna get right into it, get to the heart of it. You know, we're not going to beat around the bush on some topics. So, Sebastian, would you want to kick off with some questions for Billy?
Sure. All right.
Was that me?
It was you.
No.
We got people irritating us right now already.
All right. Billy, so before we dive into your story, let's set the table for folks at home. You're running in District 9, is a district that stretches across 24 towns in Bergen County, 9 in Passaic, 2 in Hudson. We're talking Carlstadt to Clifton, Patterson to Pompton Lakes, Secaucus to Saddlebrook. Your district is 42% Hispanic, 8% Black, demographics which you share. And according to the Cook Partisan Voting Index, it's only a D+2 district. Mm-hmm. For anyone wondering out there, that means in the last 2 presidential elections, that district voted just 2 points more Democratic than the national average. So it's not exactly a blue fortress, what some people would call. So Billy, you're not just running uphill; you're running in a district that's winnable, and we'll get to that. But first, you're an Air Force veteran, correct?
Yes, sir.
Walk us through that. What made a kid from North Jersey say, "Hey, I'm joining the military"? How long did you serve? And let me know a little bit about it.
It's a lot of things that led me to join the military. First and foremost, what made me want to, I've always been a pacifist kind of person, just so everybody knows. I got no problem with war. If you have beef, we have beef. We got to go and deal with it. But I am very much a non-interventionist. A lot of my political ideology spawns from Ron Paul. And that started to develop after I left the military, to be honest. I actually found out about Ron Paul before going into the military. But at that time, I considered myself a Democrat, but I was unaffiliated. Ended up voting for Barack Obama the first time, and I figured, wow, great, we're going to serve on the first black president. There's that one thing. The second thing is I'm a first-generation American. My parents immigrated to the United States, and I felt the best way that I could give back to my country was by serving. After being in the military for an extended period, or I should say for a short period, I quickly learned that everything that the media has told us about what's going on outside of the borders of the United States is not accurate. While I was in the military, I worked as an aerospace ground equipment journeyman. In short, basic English, I was a ground support mechanic. I worked on machinery that was used to service the planes before they went out, and overhauling the systems, delivering them, etc. And around early 2010 to 2011, Operation Odyssey Dawn began. That's when the United States was created a humanitarian no-fly zone, and I do the quotes because that's basically what it was, over Libya. Barack Obama and the Western media was telling us on television that Gaddafi's dropping bombs on his people, so we need to create this humanitarian no-fly zone over Libya to prevent Gaddafi from bombing his people. We're going to go and bomb Gaddafi, basically. Yeah. And the base that I was stationed at, RAF Mildenhall, we were a support base. Our sister base handled all the bombing missions. And when those missions started to kick off, I really began to question, what exactly are we doing here? Like, why are we getting involved in the Middle East? Libya is not a threat to the United States, our economy, our people, our constitution in any way, shape, or form. Also, during that time, our government was in the middle of a shutdown, but Barack Obama went and got support from NATO to unilaterally use our troops to instill this no-fly zone. And as I saw this happening on television on base, you can only get CNN and AFN, Armed Forces Network, and those two channels were telling us basically the same regurgitated stuff that Barack Obama was telling us. But at the time, I decided to go off base, and a girl that I was with at the time, I went to her house and I'm watching the news, and I'm seeing what's the foreign media is talking about, what Press 24, RT, Al Jazeera, BBC, all these foreign news channels that we don't really get in the United States unless you have like, Amazon Fire Stick or something. But I'm watching what they're saying, and they're giving a completely different narrative. Most of us in the military had no idea we were going into Libya until it was already happening. However, on the ground, there were several reporters that were talking with the people in Tripoli. Almost 2/3 of the country went to the capital of Tripoli protesting these humanitarian no-fly bombing missions that were happening before we were even, for the most part, aware of it. While in the United States, we're being told we're going to stop Gaddafi from bombing. They knew we're coming to bomb. A lot of the people in Libya were actually in support of Gaddafi and the things that he was doing. So when I started to see this, it really opened my eyes to see that our country is not necessarily fighting wars to stop terror, right? And that's what I thought we were doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, and even granted, after 9/11, I was a little skeptical about it, but it's very easy to talk negatively about our government and our military from the outside, so I wanted to do my part. And after kind of going in and seeing what's really going on, I had to really question my beliefs. At that point, I started to figure, well, if this is what the Democrat guy is going to bring, and I was always from the school of thought that Republicans are evil, George Bush sucks. I still think George Bush sucks, by the way.
I'm with you on that one.
That's all I mean. I'm like, there goes our childhood. I'm watching towers from the window. Like, this would have never happened. Like, I used to look at America like we're G.I. Joes. Like, nobody hits the United States. Like, someone just knocked down 2 massive towers. I'm seeing this from the window. It's nuts. But this happened under George Bush. So I wasn't a big fan of him, wasn't a big fan of the Republican thing. So I kind of naturally shifted to Barack Obama. He came off like an outsider kind of guy. But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. But when I came back home from the military around 2011, that's when Occupy Wall Street. You guys are how old? How old are you guys?
29.
I'm 29.
So you guys were probably like 11 or something when...
On the towers?
No. When Occupy... Well, you guys weren't even a concept.
No, when the towers hit, I was 5.
Okay, good. So you guys were around. So then Occupy Wall Street, so you guys were about like 10 or 11 or so at that time. Yeah, because I was around 2010, 2011. And when I came home, America was just not what I remembered it to be. You know what I mean? It was... I was leaving, a couple of years after the whole 9/11 thing, about 8 years after the fact. And when I come back home to the United States, people are talking about socialism, they're talking about communism, they're talking about free stuff, they're talking about, we got to tax the rich, the banks are screwing us over. And then I really opened my eyes up to Barack Obama when I saw he could have bailed out the American people, but then people's mortgages started to fall apart. Businesses went under, and we bailed out these banks that caused the problem to begin with. So a part of me empathized with a lot of what the people were protesting at Zuccotti Park in New York. And I even lived in New York for a little bit. This is probably going to blow a lot of your minds, but there was a point where I almost became a socialist, man. I almost became a socialist. Yeah, I can't believe it. I was a stupid kid back then. I was still questioning my political ideology at that time. And what really shifted this, and I've told this story before, but what really shifted my perspective was I had a roommate. His name was Nick Pellman. He was a socialist. First socialist I've ever met in my life. Okay, I moved to Astoria, Queens, and he just to simplify the story, he brings me to this event, right? It's this church, this massive cathedral. There's all these people inside there, and I'm excited. I'm like, wow, this is like my first rally. My first rally was not a conservative political, it was like a socialist rally. And while we're in there, this guy is up there giving this fiery speech about, rent is too high in New York. We got to do something to stop
rent. Rent is too damn high.
It wasn't that guy. I would probably be like, yeah. You know what I mean? But granted, I just moved to New York at this point. We're talking 2-3 months. I don't know the full ins and outs, but these people were pretty pissed. So I was like, okay, I can understand that. Occupy Wall Street's going on or whatever. And everything this guy's talking about is rational. How are we going to work with these minimum wages? Look at our prices going up, education, blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, I can get behind this story.
Just wrong solution.
But this is the moment that shifted my whole perspective, man. I'll never forget this, bro. I'm sitting in the pews, and there's this lady right next to me with like gauges in her ears, and she has like the mohawk or whatever, right? And me and her were talking the whole time, and she was like really like, oh, this is my banter buddy while we're watching this person speak, right? And I like what he was saying, but then I'm like, but how do we pay for this, bro? Because the only thing that's going through my mind is the amount of money we're spending on wars and all this stuff. And yada yada. So I'm like, yeah, well, how do we pay for this? And she turns to me and she says, we're going to eat them. We're going to eat the freaking rich. And I'm like, what do you mean?
That's your answer, huh?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I didn't know if she was being rhetorical or she was being... I was like, what do you mean we're going to eat the rich? She's like, we need to eat the rich. And then she just went right back to cheering it. And then I turned to the next person, and I'm like, well, how are we going to pay for this, bro? I was like, well, we just got to smash the system. And I'm realizing very quickly that, okay, you guys may have valid gripes, but you have no idea how you're going to get this.
There's no solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I went home that day.
Well, it's like Mondami, right after he wins, he's asking to support. Remember I said stop donating? Well, we're going to start again.
Exactly.
Can't make that up.
You know, and then I had to question my ideology at that point. I went home and I said, I don't think I'm a Democrat, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm... And at this point, I didn't know these people were full-on socialists, you know? And I'm like... I wanted to revisit the conservative thing, but at that time, Mitt Romney was the guy. Yeah. Mitt Romney is lame. I'm not a fan of Mitt Romney or that class. But I went back to what my friend Dan was telling me about Ron Paul, and I just, decided to sit down and stomach it and listen to what this old guy was talking about, and he's talking about the fractional reserve banking system. And I'm like, man, that's what's really causing all these problems? That's what's leading to the inflation? That's what's leading to the record debt? Is that the reason why we're in perpetual war? Because the only way our government can even sustain itself is by advancing and, expanding these military contracts, and it's pegged by the oil with the petrodollar system. These are all things I've never heard anybody talk about except for this old man. And if it wasn't for me digging into that, I wouldn't have shifted conservative or shifted Republican, I could say. And from that moment on, I realized, I am a conservative. But as time passed, I realized...
Once you became more educated.
Yeah.
But and you know what? You see people going one way. I see a lot of people shift from the liberal side to, align more with the right, and you never really see it the other way. Yeah. It's not often.
Yeah, and the thing that's funny, though, is like the longer I've been involved in politics, I've realized that there's probably about 10% of conservatives that actually think like that, even though the solution to a lot of our problems is we need to get rid of this system. We need to audit the Federal Reserve itself, and we need to return to a sound money system. The more we keep this fiat system in place and continue to print these dollars, there's no way we're going to get out of debt, especially when we're giving billions to Ukraine and Israel and all these other places. We're not going to get out of this problem. But in short, that's the answer.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's what's so great about the tariff system too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we used to do back. Was it the McKinley?
Prior to 1913, prior to the fractional reserve banking system being put in place, I mean, the United States. Correct.
Yeah, we had the gold standard too. Yeah. We were much better off back then, I believe.
Yeah,
of course.
All right, and you have a follow-up question there, Sebastian?
I do. So how does that discipline, that mission-first mindset that you had in the military translate to Congress? Because D.C. could use a few more airmen and a lot fewer career politicians like Mikey Sherrill.
Yeah.
Helicopter, Vanilla Harris.
I saw that coming from a mile away. But repeat the question again, the first half?
Yeah. So I said, how does that discipline that you learned in the military, that mission-first mindset, how does that translate to Congress?
How can you apply what you learned?
I think even more so than that that mission first mindset. I think what drives me more than anything is a sense of duty, because I'm 36 years old. I'm a young guy, and the life, the America, everything that drew my parents to this country no longer exists for my generation, right? And it's only a matter of time before that doesn't exist totally for my kids. Like, we're at a point now where it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy a home. But even with the rental prices that are happening right now, you can't even rent a home. So where is America going to be 10 years from now if no one advocates for the next generation, if nobody actually pushes forth policies to repair our education system, get our debt under control, and actually incentivize creating families? The United States has one of the lowest birth rates it's ever had in a long time. And the solution we've been told for a long time is import more illegals. And that's clearly not the solution. When we have people, like, I'll give you one thing. There's one thing that I'm not too fond of that President Trump spoke about earlier this year about allowing certain H-1B visa holders to come into the United States. And the issue that I have with that is we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of young Americans that are struggling, trying to find jobs, that would love to learn these skills, that want to be able to advance their careers. And if the solution we're being told to them is we have to bring someone from overseas that already has those skills as opposed to empowering our own population, how exactly is that a plan to advance the country forward? I think the best thing that needs to be done is we need to bring those trades, bring those skills, bring those IT bring that IT education to our high schools and actually allow our children to learn
it's totally not valued
while they're
anymore.
growing up.
It's not valued.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to go to college to get a degree with a fancy piece of paper. Nobody wants to learn a trade anymore. But that's really where the value, money is just a promise of value.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Everybody
That's what
wants
a banknote
to
is.
be a TikTok star or
Yeah.
make an OnlyFans.
No, but
nowadays,
the
so.
value comes from the person making the food or the person scrubbing the floors.
Exactly.
The value's there,
And one thing and I'm not too certain if he's backtracked on it, but I did hear him mention a while back, a couple months ago, about how they want to start charging corporations $100,000 a year
it's
for people
per
that are on
person, yeah.
H-1B, and I'm 100% for that. All right, I'm like, if you because at the end of the day, the corporation is going to cut costs by doing that. Bring someone overseas. What are you going to do about it? I'll pay you whatever, and they're fine with that. The average American then does not have the opportunity to get a job from that. However, if you're going to invest that money back into our country and you want to go and do that, and you're willing to pay $100,000 a year for that one guy, fine. But at the end of the day, we need to incentivize our guys getting those jobs first and training our guys.
Totally.
Our biggest export in the United States, and it's like when I created the Freedom of Education Plan, I firmly believe our biggest export should not be steel or any of these tangible things. I think it's things that are intangible and that are completely valuable. Our knowledge, our expertise. If you want to build a bridge, I want you to hire Americans. If you want to go and build a aqueduct, or you want to build a nuclear facility, you want to hire the best of the best here in the United States. I think that when we are able to set the standard for the world because we're that damn good, our country changes. I mean, you look at what happened with Japan, or what happened with Germany when they had their industrial revolutions, or even America when we had our industrial revolution at the very beginning. Everyone was in competition to be the best, and some nations ended up becoming the best because it's what they focused on, investing in their people as opposed to investing on bringing people here, and therefore we're piggybacking off of them. The issue is they have no loyalty to the nation at the end of the day. The people that do have loyalty to the nation are the people that were brought up in the nation, incentivized to do great for the nation and push our country forward at the end of the day.
Amen.
Yeah. I love it.
Great.
That's great.
Thank you for answering. All right. Do you want to do the vote swing? Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, I'll do the ones I
All right,
put.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I want to talk some numbers to you.
All right.
Because your story, your electoral history is written in vote swings. So in 2020, you jumped in as a first-time candidate. You lost by 105,000 votes. Most people would call it quits. They tap out. 2 years later, you come back. You close that gap to 17,000. That's an 88,000 vote swing. That's crazy,
that's
by
pretty
the way.
wild,
It
right?
is amazing.
Crazy. You're a madman over here.
Yeah.
And then 2024, last year, you narrowed it down to 12.5. And you did this by spending peanuts.
Yeah.
You had no super PACs, no dark money, just boots on the ground, doors knocked, and voters who believed in you and your message. Billy, take us inside election night in 2020, your first time around. You see the results, 105,000 down. What's going through your head? What made you say, I'm going to try and do this again?
So, election night 2020.
Do you remember back that far?
I do remember that back that far. I remember we almost got arrested that day.
Oh,
actually.
fun.
We
Do
were,
tell.
We were right off on Route 46. I can't remember the name of the diner we were at. But the diner owner was a good friend of ours, really nice guy. I don't want to get him. Actually, I'm not going to say the name of the diner. I don't want to get him in trouble. But when we were there, we lit off a whole bunch of fireworks in the parking lot.
That'll do it.
But then and people were like, what the heck's going on Route 46? So a bunch of these police pulled up, and they're like, oh, what are you guys? Oh, it's BillyPrempeh. Listen, bro, you can't be launching fireworks. Thank God the cop voted for me. But then anyway, election night 2020 was very, very, I wasn't upset about the results that happened in 2020 because I knew when I got into that race, it's either I'm going to win or I'm going to send a message. That's where my mindset was at. I knew that I'm going up against Bill Pascrell. This guy is like Goliath. He's up here.
Yeah.
Billy, you're right here on the pavement, you know? But I knew that if I ran and I didn't run, actually, I got to take it back a little bit as well, too, because the dynamics were radically different in the district. I was an outsider candidate. I got the nomination from the party. Was the party behind me, per se? No. And and at the time, I looked at it like, well, they don't support me because, not for anything racial, but I thought it was like they don't support me because they're just hand in hand with the Democrats and blah, 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 blah. And we can get into those conspiracy theories, but at this point, I don't think that's the case. I think that the Republican Party at that time was they were walking on eggshells. They didn't want to rock the boat or, I don't want the Democrats.
That was during COVID, too.
This was during COVID as well, too. So I ran a very different campaign. I was told by certain people within the party, tone it down, don't be too loud. And I'm like, okay, well, are you going to help me in this campaign? I'm thinking that the county parties are going to give me money, or NJGOP is going to get back with me. It doesn't work that way, and it should, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I learned in 2020 that I have to build my own airplane and jump off this cliff and hope it's built by the time I land.
Yeah.
So we decided around after the primary, when I started to notice people weren't answering my calls and I kind of just was out there on my own, I stopped wearing the suit, started wearing the leather jacket, started saying, listen, this is what's on my mind. These are the things that I believe. The suit and tie guy persona just does not work. And I knew if I'm going to defeat someone like Bill Pascrell, I have to lean into who I really am and what I really stand for. So I would go knocking door to door in Patterson with the Trump hat, leather jacket.
Boots on the ground,
flag,
baby.
No fear. You know what I mean? And I knew people would look at me like, yo, there is a 6'2" black dude with dreadlocks
knocking
and a
on
MAGA
doors
hat with a MAGA flag at my front door.
That means something.
Well, yeah, because it's like, first off, that guy has scrotum the size of Manhattan to show up here and do that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
And the fact that I could even pique that interest is something that several Republicans strayed away from. Don't go into the inner city. Don't go into Patterson. Don't go into Passaic. You're just going to get laughed out. Well, why wouldn't we go in those areas? If these are the areas that need to hear an alternative message the most and no one's ever ran and you don't show up, they automatically assume that this party does not care about them. So I had to make it a point to show up. So when we got 31% the first time in 2020, I was actually a little bit surprised because I thought historically I was going to be in the same category as everyone else. No one really broke 27%. So 31% doesn't sound like a lot, but the way I looked at it was like, okay. For 25 plus years, no one's done this, and the random guy from Patterson pulled it off. Let's do it one more time, and I believe we could win. But also in my mind, I knew that if I run in 2022, we're approaching the 10-year mark, they're going to redistrict this state. And there were certain towns that I knew if they stayed in the district, it's going to be harder. Fort Lee, Englewood, Teneck, some of these towns, if they were removed, I'd do all right. And I was under the impression, Josh Gottheimer in 2020, he was the top vote getter or the top fundraiser for the Democratic Party. They're going to want to protect him at all costs. He was like a D+8 or D+6 at that time. And in my opinion, I was thinking they're going to take Fort Lee and all these areas and put them in District 5 to protect Gottheimer, thinking that Pascrell will be able to hold it on. Yeah. And if he can survive another 10 years, which I think that's just what their mindset was. They just put all their eggs in his basket. So I said, I'm going to run again because I know the district will get redder. And a lot of people chalk up, well, Billy's numbers got better because the district got redder. That's why. Yeah, the district got redder, but in 2022... in the very beginning, it was a D+10. It went from a D+16 to a D+10. By the time 2022 came to an end, it was a D+8. By 2024, it was a D+6. By the time we ran our race in 2024, it was a D+2. So was it the redistricting that changed things, or was it me consistently showing up and spreading the conservative message? I mean, President Trump, for example, a Republican president, hasn't won the 9th district since Ronald Reagan. That was the last time a president did that. The last time we had a Republican congressperson was 1984. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's been that long. So the fact that Trump pulled that off, and I see the media go to like, wow, Trump won this district, and I'm like, of course he did. He's Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And people really like Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. I've been promoting him for the longest. But let's not forget that I was one of the few people that was going in areas that nobody wanted to go into. Yeah. Right? So you fast forward to 2021. And we can get into, actually, let's hold that off. We'll get into 2021 later, but that answers that question.
Yeah.
I mean
2025. Sorry.
Talk before we go into the next segment. I wanted to ask about 2026, if I can.
Sure.
So you're back in the arena. Coming up next year, next November. What's different this time? What's the one thing you're doing, or the voters are doing, that can flip those final 12,500 votes for you?
You know. What I think that it's going to take is we have to really look at how the Republican Party operated this go around for the governor's race, right? Because a lot of people, I was under the impression that Jack was going to outperform Trump, and here's my reasons why I believe that was going to happen. I like Donald Trump. I think he's a great president. At this point, though, I'm talking about now here in 2025, in New Jersey, he's a very divisive candidate, even though he's not on the ballot. But I saw Jack as like, okay, Jack is conservative. He's been backed by President Trump, but he doesn't run as hardcore as Trump does. Right. So because of that, I think he'd be able to sway people in the middle, which he did. There were several elected officials that came and supported him. And Jack got more votes than Governor Murphy did in 2021.
You're kidding.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm like, OK, he's going to be able to balance this out. But then came those, and what we can get into the discrepancy of 400 to 600,000 additional votes, the largest amount of voters to come out, I think, in the history of this state with Mikey Sherrill. She closed like almost 2 million or something people. But what that demonstrated to me is that the way that Trump ran, the reason why people also came out and supported him, even more so than I say what happened with Jack, is because, say what you will about him, whether you like the guy or not, the fact that he was unapologetic in his positions, the fact that he was willing to say the things that are sometimes incendiary, there were people that may not have liked all of his policies, but they knew when he said it, he was dead serious, and they liked it.
Amen.
And there's a level of respect that comes with some people that's just
we
what comes to the top of
need
their
more
mind.
of that. That's why I started.
We complain
Bridge
about
there.
that all the time.
Right.
Right. Reminds me of, I mean, it's slightly off topic, but someone like Tim Tebow, right? He was, he always complained, where have all the good role models gone,
Yeah.
Why are our
Well,
politicians not honest? But then when they are, people don't like that either. So it's like...
My theory is that if people just said what they believed, and just operated on their truth and said the things that they were thinking out loud more, I think we would find that we actually agree on a lot more than we disagree on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like here's an example. When Trump started sending the National Guard to several of these inner cities where they've been taken control of by gangs and all kinds of nonsense, the media will have you believe that nobody likes this. Trump is going after brown people and black people and blah, 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 blah. But you go on World Star, you go on social media,
And
go
you see
on
the truth.
The real world, people that live in these
That's what I'm
communities are
saying.
like, this is actually pretty... This is pretty legit.
It's hard
I
to
actually
fake.
like this.
It's hard to fake. One video you see, okay, something could be fake. But when you see hundreds of videos of different situations,
Right.
you could bank on it. Conspiracy theorists, they paved the way. Let's call them pattern recognizers.
Right.
Sometimes it's like the evidence is just in your face, and it's like, yeah.
Another thing is people respect someone that'll answer a question even if they don't like it. Even if they don't like the answer that they say, right? And that's
Yes,
something that
correct.
Trump always did. There's one thing that the NJGOP, and I brought it up, and some people kind of said, it's not that big of a deal, and that's exactly why they lost. That's exactly why the entire NJGOP has resigned right now. Jack did one thing, in my opinion, which was critical and messed up his entire campaign. When there was an interview, and you've probably seen it on social media by now. Someone came up to Jack, and I believe he was in Irvington. He was in front of like a bodega, and he was doing a press conference. And one of the news reporters asked him a question, and asked him, what are you going to do for the black and brown communities, right? Mm-hmm. And Jack brushed it off like, next question. I understand why he did that, because I'm like, this is a stupid question.
It's a setup, sounds like.
Exactly. Well, not only that, it's like I'm here in Irvington.
Yeah.
Like, what else would I like? I'm trying. I literally just gave my whole entire platform, so I understand why he didn't answer that question. The problem is that the way someone else on the other side, who's, let's say, super far left Democrat, right, couldn't tell them nothing, right? You say a clip like that, like next question, now it can be framed as this guy doesn't like black people.
And it does get framed because nobody wants to do their own look into it themselves, And
the way he should have answered that question is the way that he answered every question. It's like, what I'm going to do for the black and brown community is the exact same thing that I'm going to do for the entire state of New Jersey. We're being crippled by high energy costs. I'm going to pull us out of Reggie. I'm going to secure our police department and ensure that our police department are getting the resources necessary to keep our communities safe. We're going to get this curriculum out of the same thing you told the entire state.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do for the African community.
We don't need special treatment if everybody's
right.
Being,
So it's like, even though that was a dumb question, shying away from that, it just worked negatively. In
not
his
a
favor.
right move, yeah.
And then to make things even worse, the bomb threats. Now this is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
This is a conspiracy. I'm going to get to this.
Tell us about that.
It's okay. We love those, Billy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. This is a conspiracy, but this is my opinion, and this is what I think also led to it, right? Now, this is a conspiracy in the sense that there was no fraud. I don't know. I don't have the answers for that. But let's just say hypothetically this scenario did happen.
Well, there was, tell everybody, for people that may not know, Billy was at the polls that day, and there was multiple bomb threats.
We're getting
to
to it.
Republican strongholds, mostly, right?
No, there were majority Democrat strongholds.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay.
So
tell us about it.
so here's the thing. Right now, whoever did the bomb threat, I heard a lot of people at the polls. I was at School 10 in Patterson, 6:45 to get a bomb threat. I go online, I start to see that there's several other locations across the state that have received bomb threats. Same in Pennsylvania as well as in New York as well too. So I'm like, okay, this is a coordinated thing. And then there was a few in Virginia for their races. So I said, okay, that's very interesting. But the key thing is these bomb threats happened when the polls opened.
Yes.
It didn't happen at like 4 o'clock or 6 p.m. or in the middle of the day like you would typically see.
Mm-hmm.
And all these areas were in deep blue areas where there's a traditional large Democrat turnout. So if you're a Democrat and and the government has been shut down because of this SNAP situation, the healthcare situation, and now I also see this guy on television who says he doesn't care about black people, and he's also supported by President Trump, and now they're doing bomb threats in the hood so they can't come out and vote. Everybody, we need to come out and vote, right? Now, am I saying that's the solution? If I were to scapegoat a reason as to why it happened, that's why it happened. Does that mean that 500,000 people are actually? That's another question that we need to actually get into. But if we're going to say what led to that quote unquote surge, I would say that also played its part as well.
I mean, what more powerful motivator than,
we're being disenfranchised.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why it is so important for you to go out.
People legitimately thought that Jack had something to do with the SNAP benefits, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people don't actually understand how our government works. They don't understand that it's broken into a legislative, executive, and a judicial branch, and Jack is just operating as the executor, but not for the federal government, for the state of New Jersey.
I saw a video that was something like, and I do have a question for you about SNAP. We can get into that too, but I saw a video. And it was saying that the Department of Agriculture proudly claims that they've given millions in food stamps, and they're the ones that run SNAP. Mm-hmm. And another department of government, the department that oversees our national parks and whatnot. I forget the name of the department, but apparently they have signs posted outside the parks. Please don't feed the animals, as they will become accustomed to the handouts and will not be able to take care of themselves. Right. So that's one department of the government saying that, and then another part of the government is, just using SNAP, and it feels like such a handout in used to propagandize and keep people dependent, and it's just not real freedom. It's not what it looks like.
I agree with you, but I'm gonna make a pretty controversial take that I know a lot of Republicans are not gonna like. SNAP is not as big of an issue as people are making it seem.
Okay.
The biggest issue that's going on with SNAP is the fact that yes, there are people on SNAP that are not eligible for SNAP, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Yes, for sure.
But even with the handouts and people becoming dependent and all these things, let's get something straight here. We're giving billions of dollars to Israel, and these guys are getting health care. They're getting all kinds of stuff. But
I'm with you.
There's no reason in the world why we here in the United States can't have those issues. I don't want people sitting and operating in a welfare system, but at the same time, if we're going to subsidize a whole entire nation for various things, not just that, if we're going to subsidize an entire nation, but we can't even do that for our own people,
correct.
I think the real conversation that needs to be had is the people in Washington, D.C., where do your interests lie? Do they lie with us, the American people? Even for things that aren't popular, but it's what the people actually want.
I am with you.
Versus somebody else.
So, I agree. I think we're sending too much money to Israel when we have issues here. And it's
not just Israel. The whole damn planet is taking too much money, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I want to, real quick, while we were kind of still on the topic, the race topic, when you were saying as a black Republican, I'm just wondering, how have you been received by the black community?
I've been... So here's the funniest thing, man. It's like I've been received well, but it's also bad at the same time.
Okay.
There's two groups of people that have been hands down the most racist to me.
Okay.
White liberal women.
Oh, yeah.
And black liberals.
We're clipping that.
Straight up, though, but it's the truth. It's the truth. It's like, white liberal women, hands down the most racist, like by miles.
What do they say?
Like they'll say things like, how could you, a big black man of your stature, support a racist? You're racist against your own kind.
It's just ridiculous.
Bitch, you don't even know me. Excuse me, I didn't mean to curse.
It's just ridiculous.
You don't even know me.
Yeah,
like,
it's true. It's true. They don't know what they're speaking on. They don't know that,
Correct. And, and I can't say that the same type of the same type of racism has been had from like African Americans, because that the type of racism that I'll get from black people is always surface level racism until they get to know me and they'll say, you know what, he's actually not as crazy as I thought he was. You know, they'll see a picture of me and Donald Trump.
Maybe
like,
he's onto something. Yeah.
It'll be like, you know, this guy likes Donald Trump. He's an Uncle Tom, or he's a whatever, right? But then every time someone says something like that, people don't expect me to actually respond or show up in your DMs or call your phone number
and have answers. A lot of people vote. Right. You see all these videos of people asking kids on college campuses questions, and they don't even know, you know, how many states are in the United States.
Exactly, and most of it is just programmed responses. You know, and when I have these discussions with people, I'll tell them, well, what is it about me that makes me an Uncle Tom? Can you name a single policy I stand for that makes me an Uncle Tom? Well, you support President Trump, but Trump's not running in the 9th district.
Trump's not a policy.
Right. Trump is the president of the United States. There's nothing we can do about that for the next 4 years. Like, do you know any of my policies?
Yeah.
No, I don't know any of your policies. Well, you want to stop a woman's right to choose. That's not true. Have you actually read my website? I'm a Catholic. I'm a strong pro-life person. Okay, I don't support abortion in any way, shape, or form. But here's the reality of what's happening here. The federal government does not determine what happens. They've overturned Roe v. Wade. It goes right back to the states. My issue is this. If my federal tax dollars are going to be used to go to Planned Parenthood and do things that I don't support as a Catholic, I think that same money, if I can't stop the right to pro-choice or whatever as a federal legislator, then I think that we should present a policy that actually brings legitimate choice, right? So I created a policy called the Sacred Life Plan. And it's very simple, because the choice that a woman gets is you either, and I'm talking about a woman that's in poverty that's even considering abortion, right? It's either you kill the child, or you adopt the child, or you live in your struggle and you're all alone. Right? All three of those choices aren't valid choices, and that's typically what's brought to these women's attention. Hey, you want to go and terminate this child? Well, what the Sacred Life Plan would do is, instead of all the money going to Planned Parenthood, I think it should be divided, right? If you want to have these pro-life organizations come from our tax dollars,
you got to have resources for the people, right? Yeah.
Well, that's exactly. So, and we do mammograms and whatever. That's what Planned Parenthood says, right? But I believe that there's other organizations, there's charities, churches, different groups that also want to help keep children alive. I think that those groups should receive a portion
origin
of those
Planned
funds.
Parenthood to begin with, it's, you know,
you don't want me to go down that rabbit hole.
Hey man, how long can it be conspiracy theories until, like, how many coincidences do we have to see as a society before we're like, all right, you know? But that's we'll get into that. Next question here, you know, on the same topic of SNAP, you know, this is something that's on the topic of a lot of Americans right now. I know you said it's not as big of a deal as the media is making it seem.
Yeah. Well, it's the shutdown that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
And, you know, with flights and everything too. Yeah, you're
Correct.
right. Now, have you seen the effects of SNAP being discontinued in the community of Patterson?
Yes and no. Yes and no. And the only reason why I say yes and no is because Patterson has a lot of resources to help people in these situations. There's various food banks, lots of charities, lots of groups. There's a lot of people that do a lot to, like, really help keep Patterson together, which is great.
Amazing.
Does that mean that these food banks are going to be there forever? No. At some point, they're going to get tapped out.
Yeah.
And the government needs to reopen. I put out a video the other day talking about this, where if I was in Washington, D.C., it's very simple how we can get the government reopened, right? The Democrats, they want the Obama subsidies pre-COVID, right? Fine. They don't want the SNAP benefits to be cut. Fine. You don't want the federal workers to lose their pay. Fine. The issue is this. None of this happens with the closed government. If the Democrats are going to use this, like, well, Trump wants to remove these benefits. He wants to. The reality is, he wants to see who actually is entitled to these benefits and who is not, and they will be cut.
Yes.
That's something that's not going to happen overnight. I think eliminating the program overnight is not going to work either. Yeah. So the solution is this. I would go to Washington, D.C., and I would present, let's say, reopen the government or fund the SNAP bill, right? We'll extend the federal benefits for SNAP, roll back the subsidies to pre-COVID eras for the Obamacare, and we'll extend this for the next 6 months, contingent on the reopening of the government so we can pass this continuing resolution, right? Allow the government to open up so that we can get things done, but this issue will be revisited again in the future. It needs to be, because what's more important than anything is ensuring that the citizens get what they need, that the federal workers are able to continue to do their job for our country. But doing a protest like I hate Donald Trump doesn't help the citizens.
Thank you.
It doesn't help the party, and it doesn't help the people that are starving.
I was going to ask, you kind of answered it already. I was going to say, Snap has been taken advantage by many, but how can we help the people who have been cut off that Snap was originally meant to help, the people that were utilizing it correctly? But you said there's a lot of food banks, there's charities. I mean,
that's the thing. It's like the same way Doge was able to find, wanton, misspending of our government. We could find the same thing that's going on, right? And that just essentially means like, well, if someone is, let's say in this country illegally, and the media will say there's no one illegally that's on here, bro, I can assure you, I know people that are selling their EBT cards in Patterson that are doing there's definitely people playing games with the system, right? So to assume that it's all good is that's straight up naive, right? Reopen the government, allow the government to look into who is actually misusing these misusing these funds, who is entitled to them and who isn't, and that's something we can revisit later.
Yeah, that's a lot. It would take a lot of work. I mean, a lot of resources. How do you weed out who is eligible and who's not?
I mean, very simple. I think what it would really come down to is, for example, if I'm not even going to say you, if someone commits credit card fraud, for example, right? Can they track you down? Yes, they can track you down. And I know a lot of these schemers that think that they can't track you down. They absolutely know who did it. They know where you did it. They know when it happened, etc. They're just waiting for you to rack up a big enough thing to catch you with a crazy federal charge. Right? So they know, right? They know what you're doing.
Just like when you steal from the grocery store at the self-checkout.
Exactly. They absolutely know.
Unless you're in California.
So if our government is that sophisticated, or if our credit card processors are that sophisticated, do you really believe that our federal government is not sophisticated enough to know where all this money is going on? I mean, for example, the first 6 months of Doge, we found billions and billions of dollars going to places on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
You think they don't know if someone's committing fraud? Like, they absolutely know. They absolutely can find that information out.
Did you hear about some of the things in the bill that Democrats shut the government down over? I mean, what was funding to male prostitutes in Uganda or something, and like this, just the most ridiculous things.
Yeah,
and it's like, is this real right now, or is this reality TV that we're watching? That was at like a Senate hearing. Somebody said that.
Cultural Marxism, bro. That's how it starts.
That's where we're sending our money, and people are complaining about Snap here. It's like, it kind of feels like lately that that all these things are just symptoms of a much larger issue. I'm not one, who am I to say what that issue is? It's just, we're not going to figure it out if everybody stays on their own side and doesn't want to talk to each other.
Well, that's what the Bridge podcast is all about.
There you go. And
Charlie, like that plug?
Charlie was a big inspiration. I know when Charlie died, I know that hit you hard.
Yeah.
You were out there at all the vigils and everything. And it's just, I think with that whole situation, I think Charlie made some enemies. Specifically, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but
I know what you're saying.
Just,
though.
there's people out there that evil doesn't want the truth to get out, and the truth, in my experience, in my 29 years in this flesh, the truth is usually the quietest in the room. And we just want to give truth a platform. Absolutely. We're not here to, I'm sure a lot of people that repost things on Instagram, they don't mean to misinform or spread misinformation, but it happens. So it's on us to be responsible enough to vet what we're sharing, or something they say with addicts is, or even with cancer patients, you're not responsible for your condition, but you are responsible to manage your
symptoms, right?
So if just educate yourselves, look into things, don't believe things, don't trust the government. Here's BillyPrempeh running for Congress. Nobody should trust the government so much.
You know what's the funniest thing, man? If you were to come to my house and you were to sign on to my Wi-Fi, the router's called "Don't Trust the Government."
Oh, there you go.
I wonder what the password is.
Yeah, not your Wi-Fi. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that one.
Oh, man. All right. Sebastian, did you want to... I think we had a couple more on the print, right?
Yeah. Let's transition back to your race. I'm sure you're going to love speaking about this one. You have a primary challenger this year.
Yeah.
The Sith Lord, as I would call her.
The Sith Lord.
Rosemary Pino, correct?
I would not call her the Sith Lord. She's not that deep.
No.
I wouldn't call her the Sith Lord, no.
All right, well, I'll just say the lady that should not be named. Is that
you could name her. It doesn't matter. I mean, to be complete, listen, to be like, a lot of people I think are looking at this wrong. People think that like Rosie's my enemy. I don't find Rosie as an enemy in the slightest. I don't find her as a threat in the slightest. In fact, I'm happy that she's in this race.
Now, that's who took over when Bill Pascrell.
No. That was Nellie Poe.
Oh, okay.
That was Nellie Poe. The primary opponent, and we can get into Rosie Poe. I call her Rosie Poe, and you're gonna find out why we call her Rosie Poe. But she decided to. By the way, the Rosie Poe joke was totally unintentional. It became a joke, but well,
she endorsed your
correct
your primary opponent last year, right?
So just to give a little bit of backstory, one of the reasons why I'm not, and granted, you have to take every primary seriously, but the reason why I don't find her as a threat to what I've done and what the people have seen me do over the years is she's well hated in her own town.
Oh wow,
well hated, bro. And that's one thing. It's like, okay, if you're going to overcome and represent the 9th district, you don't just have to beat the Democrat, which is Nellie Poe, who you endorsed last year instead of endorsing me for the primary, but that's neither here nor there. But you also have to beat me during the primary.
Yeah.
And then after you beat me, you have to get everybody who supported me to support you to defeat the Democrat in November.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hurdles she has to jump. And going back to what we were talking about earlier about why the Republican Party consistently fails in the way that they view politics is the RNC, for example. They're invested in District 9. And I don't want to badmouth the RNC. I'm happy that they're finally paying attention to District 9. It's something I've been saying for a long time, get invested in 9. They're looking at this race and they're saying, well, this is one of the top 26 most flippable seats in the country, right? But when you're trying to get the attention of the RNC, which actually opens the floodgates up to more national donations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they want to see that you could raise a significant amount of money on your own.
Yeah.
Right. And granted, every time I've ran a race, I'd run with about $40,000 to $50,000, and I still was able to pull these results off.
Yeah.
Right. So in theory, you would think, well, that guy did that with pennies and a shoestring, man. Like, if we gave that guy $1 million, he's in.
Yeah.
There's no way this guy doesn't win.
Yep, you're a fighter.
But the RNC doesn't look at it that way. They look at things very number-like. The same way, and they would ask questions like, well, what are you doing to sway the Hispanic community or the black community or whatever, right? They think in boxes and they think in numbers and they think in metrics.
So black and white when it's not always the case, you know?
So here's what could happen, right? Let's say this lady raises $1 million. Right? She could raise $1 million. I'll make a prediction right now. She could raise $1 million and she's going to end up like Michael Bloomberg when he ran for president. Spent $500 million and got nowhere. Yep. Right? And the RNC would be like, oh, well, she's Latina. The district's more Latino. They voted for this lady, Nellie Poe, because she's Latino. No, I was on the ground here. Yeah. They chose Nellie Poe because she was the most well-rounded, non-controversial candidate to replace Bill Pascrell as opposed to the ones they got. That's why they chose her. Not so much because she's Latina. That's why they voted for her. The RNC will look at this person and be like, well, we can choose her because she's Latina. Okay, you'll choose her and you'll waste all the money. I can guarantee that. But even then, even the RNC is aware of the fact that, wait a minute, you came into this race and you said that you're going to be the Republican to be the conservative choice for here in the 9th district, yet you endorsed Nellie Poe the year prior. In 2022, you were a Democrat, like a far left progressive AOC type Democrat. And like I seen the way she operated and campaigned against other Republicans that were running for council in Clifton at the time. So I had a vendetta against her in 2022. I'm not going to lie. 2022 was when I was running my race, and I saw how she was attacking several other candidates in 21. So when she decided to flip Republican in 2023, this was after the district changed. And I'm assuming she looked at it like, well, the district's getting more Latino. Let me go in there, right? So let me flip Republican. She ran for county clerk. She lost. I even went to the chairman and I said, Chairman, the chairman of Passaic, I said, why would you choose this woman to represent the party for county clerk when she attacked all of us? And he said, listen, Billy, she was brought to my attention and, she's a new candidate. We're coming at her with open arms. And I said, I'm telling you right now, this woman's going to be a dumpster fire. And I stayed out of the race. I didn't really get involved in what she was doing or anything like that. Didn't really allow my input. And maybe she took that the wrong way, which is like, I'm going to spike this guy in 2024 and choose Nellie Poe or whatever. The bottom line that I'm making is everybody saw this. Everybody saw what she was doing. You fast forward to August 6th of this year, Clifton is dealing with a issue where they've been kicking the can down the road for several years from the previous administration, and they're trying to find ways to cut costs. She is one of the few members that was on the council that was receiving the healthcare benefits from the city healthcare.
She was receiving them?
Yeah, receiving them, right? Which she's entitled to, right? But here's where the issue comes in, right? It was only her, another Democrat chairman and the mayor of Clifton that was taking these benefits. No one else was taking them, right? Except for two other ones, Tony Latona and Bill Gibson. These two are Republicans. But Tony Latona, retired fireman, so he deserves that. He gets that.
Okay.
Bill Gibson, a detective for well over 40 plus years, right? He's retired. He gets that,
public
right?
servants.
She voted on August 6th, along with the Democrat and the mayor, to try and increase taxes in Clifton 10% to deal with this, right? It obviously didn't go through. They eventually ended up settling on 6%. You fast forward to the next city council meeting after that, and she gets up there, and they're trying to remove the city benefits for part-time workers, in this case, council. And she's one of the only people trying to advocate for this. Like, no, we need to keep these benefits. We need to keep these benefits. I feel like it's a personal attack on me because I'm the one that's getting the benefits. No. The reason why it was an attack on her was because according to the city ordinance, the healthcare benefits are meant for the council member and their spouse. It's her spouse, and 11 of her kids.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so now people are like, wait a
That's
minute.
crazy.
So that's what.
So how much does that equate to?
So it equates to about 60 grand a year or something like that. About 60 grand a year. And I think individually it's like 48, something like that. So in the larger scheme of things, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that much money. But in the eyes of the people of Clifton, who we're going to have to pay 10 more %, and all we're telling you
and
is
a lot of people don't make $60,000 a year.
Correct. So people, and granted, to play devil's advocate for her, well, we don't get compensation past $4,000. I get that, but at the end of the day, you are a civil servant. That's what your role is. You know what I mean? You didn't come into
you signed up for.
Exactly. You didn't sign up to get money or all this.
You shouldn't be in this to get rich.
Exactly.
That's why people like Trump too, because he didn't need it.
I don't need your money.
Yep.
You know. So this lady.
Yep. Good impersonation there.
So that's causing a lot of contention, and she went and attacked a Councilman Bill Gibson, one of the senior members of the council. He recently got his leg amputated because he's been dealing with some health issues. And she tried to insinuate that the reason why the health care is costing so much is because we have a member on our council that's suffering from and before she could exactly. So he said, what? Before she could even finish what she was saying, the entire crowd went nuts. It's like, there's no way you just insinuate
went nuts
against her.
Against her,
yeah,
yes.
because
Okay.
like the same way you're like, what?
Was she really gonna say that because we have an amputee on the council, that's why the cost is going up?
Someone who's retired and put in his time into the city years ago. So, but she just keeps doubling down.
Yeah, that's one of those moments you put your foot in your mouth.
So now you fast forward to when the primary does happen of next year.
Yeah,
you're already in hot water here in Passaic County. Right, you have to, and by the way, you said 24 towns earlier. It's 34 towns in the district. You have 24 towns in Bergen County that they don't know you, where people love BillyPrempeh. I won Bergen County against Nellie Poe as well, so you have to build your bridges in those areas as well.
You said it was Rosemary, or was it Nellie that's not liked in her own town? It was
Rosemary.
It was Rosemary.
Rosemary.
Yeah, okay.
Rosie Poe. We call her Rosie Poe. Because
what's the story behind that?
So I went to the city council meeting and I was trying to call her because her name's Rosemary Pino, and for whatever reason, I was trying to say that you endorsed Nellie Poe last year as a Republican.
And it came out.
I just kept calling her Rosie Poe, and it wasn't intentional, but now it's like an inside joke.
It was more than one thing. You kept doing it. Yeah.
No, maybe the first 2 or 3 times was definitely unintentional.
Yeah.
But then by the 4th time, I straight up was like, "Nah, you're Rosie Poe." That's actually kind of funny.
I want to publicly apologize for calling you BillyPrempeh. Everybody's Prempeh. For everybody out there, that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. And you know what? My last name is Khan, Kahn, so I get the struggle. Not pronunciation. People can usually do that, but they always think it's Middle Eastern, the Khan spelling. And it's like, that irks me. It gets under my skin, so I can only imagine. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. It's fine. Not for Rosie Poe, though.
Yeah.
I worked alongside her when I was down in Trenton.
You worked alongside her?
Yeah.
Doing what?
Well, I mean, I worked for one of our senators down there, but we
you're talking about Nellie Poe.
Yeah, Nellie, and yeah, she was interesting.
Very interesting. I think that's a good word. We'll leave it at interesting.
Why? Why do you say that? I don't know her. Tell me.
She's you can break it down.
She's how do I say this nicely? I don't want to get Billy in trouble.
You're not gonna get me in trouble. I've said incendiary things already.
I don't know. She always, I felt like she was a little bit of a blockhead.
Okay.
Like she was a little bit of airhead. Like there's a little.
Hey, we can't sacrifice truth to not step on toes. Right?
Look, listen. I see where you're getting
There's
at.
a little space in there that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I don't want to insult her, but you know what's funny about you saying that? I don't want to insult her. She's been in the state house for almost 20 plus years, but when we had our debate,
That's a problem in and of itself.
yeah. So we had our debate in 2024, and people aren't going to believe this, but I was actually nervous for the debate when I first came
Really?
in. Because I've been gearing up since 2020 to debate Bill Pascrell. It's like mano a mano, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's about to go down. You know,
Swap him out
and
the last minute.
Pascrell,
I didn't think about that.
New Jersey Globe, like where they were like, "Hey, we'll facilitate this debate." We reached out to Bill Pascrell, and Bill Pascrell said he's down to do it. At this point, and this is why I give Bill props. I got to give him props, just credit where it's due. That guy told me to my face, "I'm gonna die before I leave this chair,
man.
bro." And he meant that.
He said that to you,
And he
really?
did.
Yeah, he said that.
Oh my gosh.
But it was so fun running against Bill because he was a real fighter. Like that guy would really like give
Hit you with his cane, knock you over the head.
You know, like if you were to rip Bill will come back at you like, you know, like a F you kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, Nelly on the other hand was very like calm. So to debate Bill, this was a big deal. People were like, "Oh, Bill, he sees the numbers. Billy's getting close.
Bill
Pascrell's about to put on the gloves. It's gonna be mano a mano," and then he passes away.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So Nelly was essentially forced to run. I mean, to do this debate, she had to. You know, she couldn't just be the limp lady that slides under the radar. You know, but the thing about that sucked was our whole entire campaign was based off of everything that Bill Pascrell did, and we had to go against that. So now we have to refocus the entire campaign, similar to how Trump had to refocus the campaign from Trump to Kamala Harris as soon as he got swapped out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we were in a very similar situation, and during the debate, I was quite shocked because I thought she was going to be a lot more legislatively. That's not a word, but you know what I mean? Like, I thought she was going to have, like, the answers, bro.
Yeah.
And she just, you know, stumbled over herself, went over time, you know, kept messing up what she was talking about. I'm like, there's no way this lady was elected for 20 years. And I got so confident. I'm like,
how does this happen?
Listen, man. She got in the assembly right after when Bill Pascrell was mayor. He went to the assembly. He was mayor of Patterson, went to the assembly. When he left the assembly and got elected to Congress, Nellie Poe was tapped to take his position in the assembly. She sat there for several years, eventually ran for Senate. No contest, it's like became the
powers
senator.
that be. I think they would rather have someone with a weaker mindset like Nellie Poe because they can influence them, and these people can be, you know, they can all be corrupted.
Yeah.
But, you know,
a part of me feels like, and I can't confirm this, but like I see it in her face, and I see her walking around. I feel like she's got that. Oh man,
it's like Joe Biden. Why was he put in office? It's
not even like that, bro. Like a part of me kind of feels bad for her because like I feel like I look at her face and I can kind of see it where it's like that. Damn, I'm getting too old for this. Like I don't want to do this anymore, you know. But you're in too deep. Like, that's what it looks like when I see her. You know, maybe she does want to do it, but the way that I see her compared to the past, she's like, I would rather be home hanging out with my husband or something.
How do you feel? Are you in favor of term limits?
100%. 100%. Term limits is something that I ran on, and I still run on it, bro. 8, 10, 12 plan. It was one of the first policies I came up with. We got term limits for the president already. 8 years for the president, 10 years for Congress. That's 5 2-year terms. 12 years for the Senate.
That's
2
enough.
6-year terms. That's more than enough. And the reason why I think it's important to have term limits is because, number one, you go to Washington, D.C., that's a slam dunk topic. Democrat, Republican, or anybody in between, 70% of the nation wants term limits. Why? We've seen Schumers and McConnells and Pascrells and Pelosi's.
And wasn't there a
for
video of
decades.
Bernie Sanders falling over or someone?
You see what I'm saying?
McConnell.
You see what I'm saying?
Sorry, yes, Mitch
Yeah.
McConnell.
Yeah,
sorry.
McConnell's
Few times.
doing
More
all
than
kinds
once.
of stuff, man. That guy needs to.
He's a little turtle.
And they
Go
twisted
fishing.
it as a liberal reporter attacked Mitch McConnell. That's not what
That's
happened.
not what happened, bro.
That's
The
not what happened.
guy's
He
gonna
fell
fall over if the wind blows.
It's like, and we can't have people. That's not who we need leading.
Right.
You know?
So another thing is like when term limits are in place, there's a time limit. There's a time limit on what you can do. That's why when you're a president, you only have 4 years.
Yeah, it's
like,
not a lot of time.
You're lucky if you can make it for the second term and finish the agenda you started, right?
Yeah.
In Congress, if you're maxed out at 10 years, you only have a certain amount of time, which means before you come back
It
to your
lights a
people,
fire under your ass a little bit. Yeah.
before you come back to your people and say, hey, reelect me, well, what exactly did you do? What legislation did you present? And we have a situation where in Washington, D.C., most of these politicians don't put up legislation. They just co-sponsor, they just cling along, and like, I supported that, but they don't really bring any new ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you want me to continue to vote for you and support you, we're running on a clock here. I need results now, or else we'll just get rid of you. You know? And if you know, a lot of people don't know this as well, too. In Congress, after about like 10 years, you're eligible for a portion of your pension, right? So I'm like,
Really?
yes. So I'm like, that's interesting. Because and then these are all things that I'm finding out in the past couple of years. Like for the longest, I didn't know that a congressperson makes about $120,000 to $170,000. I found that out about 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought that a congressperson made like $50,000.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
that seemed high.
It's 174.
Yeah. 174?
And then-
You checked it out? Yeah, so-
and
That's where
then
it's
when you're
at.
leadership, I think
Yeah.
you can bump it up to like 194.
That's their
or
salary.
something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get a ton of benefits. I think it's lifetime. You
Yeah.
get food. You can get access to the gym.
That's
all
what
that
I
stuff, yeah.
thought. So I thought that
Mail,
Congress was
everything.
like, I thought it was like $50,000 as your salary, but you have all these perks,
Yes,
which
yes.
makes it worth it. You know what I mean? So like, well, you don't really need the money because you can get access to blah blah
You
blah.
have the
blah,
real
blah.
value, not the promise.
Right, but no, you actually get benefits and all kinds of stuff plus the money. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, now I know why these guys are all a bunch of
And
scumbags.
they stay
going in there.
forever.
Exactly.
And you know what? It is a broken system, and it's hard to operate in.
Now imagine if you have that system in place where it's like, yo, you want to reach that 10-year mark or whatever, right? If you want to do that, then you need results.
Yeah.
And we need to see results before you can even claim that you have the right to that.
And just sitting there in that seat for years on end doesn't really do much for us.
All
It
right.
might have cut out the last second of that answer. I don't know why it did that though. Again,
Well, you have other camera angles too, so
Yeah,
and you've got
that's
the
the
main,
main.
so
Yeah.
we're okay. Really stitch it together.
all right. Where were we?
Term limits. We talked about term limits.
About what?
Term limits.
Term limits. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that would definitely solve a lot of issues. How long was Bill Pascrell? 30 years?
27 years.
That's too long.
Wow.
27 years.
Now, thank God Nancy Pelosi just announced her retirement.
Well, she did?
Didn't she?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Did she really?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
2 or 3 days ago. You didn't see
Get
that?
out.
She's
It was all
done.
over.
Look at that. She spent her whole life enriching herself and
Yeah, her,
You know,
she's
getting her
leaving
husband-
Dick Durbin, and oh, there we go.
perfect timing, actually. You know,
My new toys.
it's about time. But that's an issue, man. It's like the fact that you were able to sit in Washington for so long and enrich yourself. What exactly is
She's
Nancy?
like 85 years old.
Basically, Pascrell was 87 when he
87.
passed. You know, I went to his funeral when he passed
And
away.
you were
man.
very respectful in that situation.
because
That's another thing I
because I
remember.
believe he deserved it. And some people don't agree with that. Some people are like, oh, I hate Bill Pascrell, and I'm like, nah, bro. Like, listen, I didn't agree with the guy politically, but I'd have a beer with him. You know, I'd shake his hand. Like, he's not my enemy, and he actually fought a damn good fight. You know, like I actually respect him as an opponent. You know, it's similar to how if you guys played sports before in
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
You know how like you have that one rival, and you're like, you know, I'm gonna get that touchdown on that guy. I'm gonna pin that guy one day, and then suddenly they transfer to a new school. And
Yeah,
you'll never
yeah.
get that opportunity.
That's like
That's
you
what
and
it felt
Bill.
like.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
is a bummer. Now, did you have to improv? How far before your debate? How long before your debate did he die? Like,
About 2 weeks.
wow,
It was
so you
about
only
2
had
weeks.
2 weeks to kind of adjust.
Well, no, we were aware of it for about a month.
Okay.
But he was in the hospital
Of his
recovering.
decline, yeah.
You know, and I remember I put out a post, and I was like, everybody pray for Bill Pascrell. And I'm like, bro, don't you rob me of this
Yeah.
opportunity, bro. You
What a
better get
bummer.
on that
He
stage.
fulfilled his promise to you.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
laughing
yeah,
probably
yeah. He
up
probably
in
was like,
heaven.
"F you, Billy, I'm out of here."
Yeah. Good luck, sir.
Right?
Oh, that's too good. That's
Yeah.
funny.
How was the reception at the funeral?
It was massive.
people.
I mean, he was massive. There were people from all political sides, Democrat, Republican.
But
you know.
for you, did people come up to you and say like, why is this guy here?
After the funeral, I mean, like days after the funeral, nobody really approached me. His son, Bill the Third, who I've grown to like, he's actually a nice guy, Bill the Third. You know, I shook his hand at the funeral, but I didn't want to make it like a political thing or make it like, oh, Billy's showing up and grand thing.
Yeah, of course.
I came in, said my respects, and then I left right after that. And then if I saw people in the streets, people were like, hey, I saw you at the funeral. That was very nice. But it wasn't for those reasons. It was, you know, you fought a good fight. I'm kind of mad you bounced before I got my chance, but, you know, rest in peace, Bill. You know, I guess I'll see you on the other side. You know, so that's what it came down to. Are you making beats back here?
No, I'm just recording the audio just in case.
We still got to play that for him too. Your little
The
Oh
jingle?
yeah, my little
Yeah, it's actually
my
pretty
song?
good.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Fine, I'll play it through here so everybody can hear it.
All right.
It was just a free verse, man. And one of my buddies was like, "Why are you mixing music with Bridge? You need to not." I'm like, "Did you listen to the song and what?"
I rapped about on it? It was just a little.
Okay.
The name is right in there too. So
Bridge. So it's like what the Bridge podcast.
What
recently you met with Congressman Byron Donalds. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be the next governor of Florida.
100%.
What was that conversation like? Any advice that he gave to you that was sticking?
So that was actually the second time that I met Byron Donalds.
Okay.
The first time I met him was at Turning Point 2021
In Arizona, I believe it was that year. I believe it was in Arizona. Yeah. And it was really cool. I said, "Hey, Byron, I don't know if you remember me." And he was like, "No, I remember you." And I said, "Yeah, we met at Turning Point. This was in I told you I was going to be running in 2022. We kind of just rehashed that." And he was like, "Okay, so what are the updates?" I was like, "Well, when I met you at that time, it was a D+16. It's now a D+. And at that time, I didn't know it was a D+2. I told him that it was a D+6. But he was like, "Oh, wow, that's significantly close." I said, "Yeah, President Trump was able to win the district. I lost by 3.9%. I'm almost positive you're going to become the next governor of Florida. And I'm looking forward to supporting you in any way that you need." It's a very brief conversation. We spoke for about maybe 5 minutes or so, but now he remembered me. We had a pretty dang good chat. And I think he's going to be the next governor, for sure.
What about, you met Vivek too, right?
Vivek, I didn't have the opportunity to meet. So, no, because here's the funny thing about that event. That was on my birthday. And that diner, Saddlebrook Diner, that's where we spent election day of 2024. And that's a place that we would always go to as like the last minute stop. And Jack Ciattarelli just so happened to be doing his diner tour. And Vivek was going to be one of the speakers there. And I said, that's kind of convenient. It's in District 9. It's in my favorite diner. It's my birthday. Let me just go and show up over there. But there were 1,048,000 people there. There was about 800 people that showed up to that event.
Wow.
Inside, it had a capacity of about 180. There was about 200 people out there and a swarm of people outside that couldn't even hear what was going on the inside. So that was a massive, massive event. And it was one of those things where they came in, gave the speech, and deuces, they got to go to the next stop. And Jack was moving like a robot with 22 arms. Like, he was going everywhere. So I didn't have the opportunity to speak with Vivek. But Vivek, I like him a lot. When he ran, me and my campaign manager, we would always joke about it. And we'd say, "Yo, I swear on everything, I think this guy's stealing all my ideas, man. He must be going on BillyPrempeh.com and looking up my policies." But I think he's going to do great. He's running for governor in Ohio. I believe that someone like him will actually help get Ohio back on track. Hopefully it can shake the stigma of being Ohio. So, yeah, let's see.
Sebastian, I need you to send the video to my work number because I'm not having luck here.
All right.
Because it's on my. You know what? I use my phone for one of the angles, and it's on my phone, so I can't even. But you know what? While we have this.
Oh, you did. You sent me this, right?
Yeah, you had it. You took the video.
Hold on.
Here's.
Oh, you're talking about that.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
So we'll clip this in after. This is one of the things I wanted to get your opinion on.
You want it to your work? I'm going to airdrop it to you right now.
So here's some of the lovely ice footage we have. We see a lot of videos, so video is captioned
anti-ice protester in Chicago try to stop ICE agents from getting out of their vehicle
and quickly regret it.
They lost their shoe too. Ain't that something? Why would you do that though? Honestly, why would you? What made them think that was a bright idea?
Well, you know the whole.
I'm sure you've seen all the videos online circulating.
I haven't seen
dozens of them now. It's just crazy.
I haven't watched a lot of them because it's pretty much the same thing always. It's someone being a knucklehead and then they get arrested and they complain.
You know the whole FOFA.
Yeah.
Fuck around, find out. You know.
Fun fact about that, man. I remember I made this. I remember I told someone from Jack Ciattarelli's team this as well too, and I was telling everybody across the state that at the time everybody was concerned that Fulop was going to be the Democratic nominee, right? Even people in Jack's campaign believed it was going to be him, and I told them no, it's not going to be him. Like, I was dead certain it was going to be Ross Baraka, and the reason, I know it sounds like Ross. Why? Because Ross actually had the smartest strategy to win compared to all the Democrats. Where are almost all the Democrat voters?
In the inner cities.
In the inner cities, right? So none of the candidates opened up their headquarters in inner cities. He did his in Patterson and Newark and East Orange, Irvington, Camden, Trenton, all of them. He had headquarters, and he had people swarming the block all over the place for it. What I think it was that caused Ross Baraka to lose the primary was he did what these people are doing. He showed up to the ICE facility. You got arrested. Had he not done that, he would have not lost the support that he already built. There are a lot of people, especially black people, that are like, why are you getting arrested for people that don't even care about the United States? They don't even want to respect our laws, yet you're advocating for them while people are getting shot in Newark and all this is happening across our inner cities. You're going to get locked up by ICE?
Yeah.
You know, so, and then there's also, think about the Democrat that's down the middle. Right, that's not even from the inner city, but they may like Ross Baraka's policies and the things he's talking about. Yeah, I like what you're talking about, but getting arrested?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Had he not done that, I think he would have galvanized a lot more support. Because keep in mind, he came in second place.
Yeah.
He came second
Wasn't
to Mikey
that
Sherrill.
far off from Mikey.
No, he should have won that. If he did not do that ICE protest, I can guarantee you, if he didn't get arrested, he would have been the nominee, 100%. And then when it happened, and I looked at the numbers, people were like, he's got no chance. He's got no chance. He's got no chance.
Yeah.
Whoa, he's in second place. Yeah, you think? He's where all the Democrats are voting.
He would have gone it.
The Republican strategy, especially for a governor's race, is we need to focus on the areas that are traditionally the most red because we got to win the primary, right? Most of those people are living in the suburbs. We're going to focus on the suburbs, and then we turn our attention to the inner city after the fact. Starting out as a Democrat, another reason why it's easier for them to win is because they've already fired up the city before they go into the suburbs to get the vote, but then they come back to the city to fire up that final push. Right. Yeah. While Republicans, it's build the suburbs, build the suburbs, build the suburbs, build the suburbs. The last 2 months come to the inner city. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the strategy we've used for years. Chris Christie was one of the only, actually the only Republican I've seen in my lifetime that, even though he had a similar strategy, he spent a lot of time in the cities and the Fort Lees and the Camdens and these areas like that, and actually showed up to these places. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, he had a little bit of that balance where he didn't focus his entire strategy on just the suburbs. He also had to make deals with Fulop and several other Democrat leaders to be able to make these inroads, right? So Republicans that are looking at it like, we got to get the Republican vote out first during the primary and then focus after the fact, you're going to lose. Even me, when I was running my races, Billy, why are you in South Jersey giving speeches? Why are you in all these areas? Because even though those people can't vote for me, some of those people would want to volunteer for me. Some of those people will want to ride and do, events for me. Some of those people want to donate. Those people see me talking about that. And that's another reason why it blew up during 2020. When the COVID shutdown was happening, and not a lot of people were speaking out against it. Me, the guy from Paterson, New Jersey, went all the way down to Governor Murphy's house, went to the parks, went to the seaside rallies, went to Skyland Stadium, went to all these places, and gave these massive speeches. But why are you in areas where no one in Paterson will vote for you? But when it came time to clean the city, when it came time to get the vote out, when it came time to get volunteers to make phone calls, to knock doors, do all that things, there were people from Cape May that came all the way to Paterson, that came all the way to District 9 to help out. Yeah. Because I realized if I'm going to win this race, I can't do it just here. If you're running for mayor, run like you're running for congressman. If you're running for Congress, run like you're running for Senate or for governor. If you're running for Senate or governor, run like you're running for president of the United freaking States.
There you go.
Because the wider
I'll shoot for the moon.
Exactly.
Land amongst the stars.
Exactly. Because the wider your influence is, even people that can't vote for you will support you because they see how valid your mission is.
And people see that too. I can't vote for you. Here you are, but I know
exactly.
People,
I'm all the way in the woods somewhere, guys.
Everybody always knows somebody else. That's
exactly. And the funny thing about that is during that pandemic, a large portion of the donations that came in to District 9, a lot of it came from Florida. And these were, even to this day, a large majority of my donors are from Florida. Why? Because a lot of the people that left Paterson moved to like Tampa, Miami. A lot of people from Jersey, straight up, moved to Florida. So when people would send donations, usually they'll send an email like, oh, save my city, save New Jersey. I left New Jersey to come down here. So these are all people that used to be here but don't like the direction the state's gone. And they found hope in what I stand for. But that would have never happened if I didn't give that speech in front of your grandma in the middle of Piscataway, who told you about, there's this guy with dreadlocks up here spitting straight fire. You know what I mean? Send them
in the middle of traffic, putting signs up on the media.
Right.
God has a hand in this stuff too, man. He'll use it if if you give yourself up to be used.
Yeah.
What's that verse in the Bible? Use me, Lord, I'm here.
Yeah.
Amen.
Whom shall go for us, and who shall I send?
There you go.
Here am I, send me.
That's it.
Jack, did you were you able to pull up the clip? I did send it to you.
So check this out. This is my little free verse from last night.
All right.
This is the test. My audio test, I called it. I think it's working.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Let's see. Audio equipment good? No, that's not it.
Okay, that's right. That's where it was. I'm failing my job as a host here. Hold on.
It's all right. We'll cut this out.
You're fired.
Calling Trump. He has something to say to you. So, Billy, you've met Trump, right?
Yeah.
That was like when you first ran.
Yeah, I met
pictures pinned to his Instagram.
I was gonna, yeah.
I met Trump twice. The first time, and the second time it wasn't really too much. It was kind of more of like a handshake, hi, goodbye kind of thing.
Okay.
The first time that I met him was so funny. I didn't even know that I was gonna meet Trump that day.
Really?
Nah, I had no clue.
Pleasant surprise.
So what happened was, you remember Kim Klacik?
Yes.
Kim Klacik. She ran in
Baltimore, right?
Yeah, she ran in Baltimore, Maryland. She, at the time, she had one of the highest grossing GOP political ads like of all time. She raised like $8 million or something.
That was the one she was walking through the
red
town,
dress
right?
and the high heels.
Is that where you got your?
That same company.
Okay.
Company did that commercial for me, and that's a whole rabbit hole.
I love that video, by the way.
That's a whole. And I'll tell you the story of how we came together, but I can't tell that story on air because I don't want anybody to know too much details of that. But Kim, who has been very supportive of our campaign, she saw that we have a very similar mission. And one day she gave me a call, and we became very good friends. She said, hey, do you want to go to Bedminster? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm thinking that we're just going to have dinner at Trump's house. I didn't know that we were going there for any particular reason. I thought we were just going to go and eat in the golf club and hang out. And I'm like, well, how often do you have a chance to go to Trump's house? Sure, why not? I'll come. And then when we get to the to Bedminster, it's the second time that I was there. The first time I was there was a fundraiser. Obviously, Trump didn't show up at that fundraiser. But what's going on?
I'm stealing your phone. Go on Instagram.
So the second time when I come to this place, right? It's quiet. There's no Frank Sinatra singer. There's not a bunch of people. It's a long room, long glass room. I believe it's the main dining room that they have, and there's a long table, maybe about 15 seats. And on the table, there's a card, and it says fundraiser for Congressman Jody Heiss. He was running out of Arkansas, and I'm like, oh, this is a fundraiser. Interesting, okay. But this is odd because it's so damn quiet. But then I look at the card, and people paid like $10,000, $15,000 just to eat here, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this is what people do in politics, you know. So, you know, we're all sitting there, and it's very quiet. We're kind of just talking about like what's going on in our races and what's happening, and it was him, two other candidates that were with me, Kim, and three other people that were like donors from God knows where. I don't even know where they were from. But we're having this conversation, and we're kind of just hanging out. No intention for President Trump to show up. It just said like special guest or whatever, right? I thought the special guest was like Kim. I thought Kim was a special guest. But Secret Service comes in, and they start pulling like a velvet rope kind of thing by the entrance. And then after a couple of minutes, Trump walks in, and he's like, "Whoa, what are you guys doing in my dining room?" And the first thing that shocked me, I'm like, "Yo, he's really tall. Like I didn't think he was that tall. I thought he was probably like 5'11" or something." But
did that send through, Sebastian? Did I send it to the right number? I sent it to the work number.
Technical difficulty.
Yep, got it.
Yeah,
Cool.
Sorry.
All right. So the guy shows up, and he's taller than I expected him
Trump,
to be.
he is a tall man.
Yeah.
He's like 6'3", I think.
And another thing that I thought was very interesting, bro, is like on TV you can't really tell, but his eyes are very, very bright blue, dude.
Really?
Yeah, like in pictures and in video you can't tell, but if you see him up close, his eyes are like really.
I don't
really bright.
remember. I did meet him. I met him once when I was like 23 or something.
I was very surprised by that, but it was very. It was very anticlimactic when he showed up because I was expecting him to be like the way you saw him on television, and he was nothing like that. It was kind of like how we're just hanging out, like, you know, just shooting the breeze.
Which is cool.
He came in and he was just, you know, talking, and he told like 6 or 7 stories, hilarious stories, bro. And I'm like, this guy is. Why don't you talk like that on stage? You know what I mean? But you know, like when I saw him speaking, I'm like, okay, that's how I know this guy absolutely understands how cameras and the media works. Like he knows if he said something, it's gonna stick. You know what I mean? But if he was this kind of Trump, like this regular down to earth kind of guy, he wants you to take the parts that are significant and he wants them to be repeated. He's got to be because he doesn't actually act like that. But you know, Secret Service kept telling them, "Yo, we gotta go." This was around the time the classified documents Mar-a-Lago thing was going on. And you can hear him whispering to Secret Service, like, "No, relax. Like, these guys came here to, you know, hang out. They're in my house. Like, I want to talk with all of them." And he was like, "I want to talk to each person before I leave, and I want to take a photo, and then we can leave." And I was like, "Oh, that's very nice of him because he didn't really have to do that." So when I had the opportunity to speak with him, I had a whole pitch in my head of like what I was going to tell him, like, "Oh, I'm Billy, blah 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 blah," and I'm like. President Trump, like, I have no idea how I ended up in this situation, but, you know, it's an honor to meet you. And he was like, "Yeah, tell me about yourself." I'm like, "Oh, I'm running in District 9. "Who's in District 9 again?" And I was like, "You know, one of your guys who doesn't really like you very much, Bill Pascrell." And he's like, "Oh, Bill Pascrell, you got to crush him.
bad guy. He's a very mean guy. He doesn't like me very much. I really hope you do well. Let's take this photo.
Your impersonations look spot on, man. You got it. You've been practicing.
Next time.
You've been practicing that one.
So we take the photo and shake his hand. President Trump, just pay attention to District 9. Like it's gonna get redder. And he was like, I'm looking forward to it. And
for the future. Thank you, everybody.
There you go.
On the other side of the screens that's been bearing with us these last few weeks since we started. This is gonna be our second official full-length episode.
Number 4, but
yeah. Number 4, we started with number 2 on the YouTube channel, so this will be labeled number 3, which is, I think there's power in the number 3. Nikola Tesla.
It's my favorite number, actually.
Really?
Me too. Works out. All right, let's go, bro.
There you go, number buddies. You go grocery shopping and you need to be able to round decimals so that you can do your budget, or now they have it. You put it in the cart and it tells you the amount. Did you see those new carts at ShopRite where you put the food? If you make like an account, and you put the food right in the cart, and it's just like Amazon Fresh. Like it charges you.
Dystopia.
It's just weird.
Yeah,
I'm like, I want to know. Well, apparently the cart, it gives you the best discount. So as you're passing, there's cameras on all sides looking out and looking in, it looks like, right? So when you put an item on, and on the card it says, never miss another discount. Never miss a discount
It's
again.
actually kind of cool.
Or something
in a scary
like that.
way.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like, all right, it tells you, it's an AI that tells you what's the cheapest on the shelf, or what's on discount this week. But at the same time, it's like, I guess it prevents theft, because as soon as you put it into that cart, you purchase it, or it goes on your bill, or whatever. I don't know how it works. I've never used it.
You know what that scares me about, though, bro?
But you're giving up control. You're giving up by using that. Exactly. It's like you're giving up.
Well, that's how they get you. They hook you in. Oh, this is cool. We got to do it.
Wait till there's a situation where it's like funds are low and the country's really jacked up. Like, you've gone over your calorie intake. Please put back
the refried beans.
Yeah.
Wow, I know some of those SNAP recipients on Twitter, they might need to not eat for a few months.
Make America healthy again.
Oh, did you see? You just reminded me. Did you see the Did you see the Halloween video? I don't know who made it, but someone did it was like a liberal haunted house.
Mm.
And the boys. He's like, they're putting dementia in the Cheetos.
they're putting.
That's
putting
great.
fluoride in the water. You need to get the
All right,
I
man.
love it.
Well, I think we've gone
anything
almost
else?
an hour and a half.
I got one more
Go
thing.
ahead,
But
yeah,
anything
please.
else
Whatever
before
you
I
got.
close it out?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. There's no rush. We could, take our time. Go ahead.
What's up to you? I
What
got,
you
I
got?
got one final thing. So I mean, if you want anything before that, you want to say
No, go
anything?
ahead.
All right.
Is it like an outro thing?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
what I said. If there's anything else, Billy, anything you want to talk about specifically? I mean, I know we could sit here for 10 hours and actually talk about policy.
There's one thing that I do want to get out there, and I think it's important for everybody that's listening to this. And I say this specifically to the younger generation of America, because one thing that I've experienced a lot in politics is when I'm talking to younger people, or I'm out and I'm explaining to them that, hey, you're 18 years old. It's time for you to come out and vote. There's this aura of it's cool to not vote, or I don't vote. That's
Screw the system.
That's for squares, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're paying taxes. You need to understand that. You're paying taxes. Your money is going to things that you may or may not agree with. And it's only going to get harder, especially if you're in college. You're paying debt. You can't declare bankruptcy and get away from these college loans. You just can't do it. How are you going to be able to build a life? How are you going to be able to afford a home? Most people don't even realize most of our money is going to projects nobody even supports or agrees with, right? So if you don't understand that, and this is the thing, a lot of people say, well, our parents ruined it, the boomers ruined it, the previous generations ruined it. And while that may be true, you're old now. You have to pick up the slack. You have to get involved in your government. You have to get involved in your country, because mark my words, if you do not have a vested interest in your future, there's people that have a vested interest in your future, and it's not the future that you actually want. So you need to get up and get involved in the political process.
It's not your best interest.
I mean, even me, myself, I got involved in this in 30, and people are like, wow, this guy's a young enigma. I'm 36 years old now. Right. And I don't want to do this forever. Like, my idea or my goal is for someone to pick up the torch and say, Billy did something. I want to go and run. They may have slightly different political beliefs than I do, but the fact that I can even motivate the next generation of Americans to pick up that torch and do something, even if I don't win for whatever reason, I want people to at least see and know and understand that this guy got up and ran against Goliath, ran against the machine, even made enemies within his own party, and did whatever it took to represent the people of the 9th District, win or lose, humiliated, disrespected, people shooting at his house, stalking his mother, doing all kinds of crazy stuff to me. I still went out there and did it not because of me. My kids don't even live in this country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most people don't even know I have kids, by the way.
Yeah.
But my kids, we're not going to get into it, but my kids don't live in this country for good reason why I don't let people know. But, my kids don't even live in this country. I'm doing this because, like I said to you guys earlier in the podcast, if I don't do this, who's going to do it? And if the young people themselves see no vested interest in doing this, you're just going to roll over and allow people to just steamroll our country. I mean,
It's our duty.
It's your duty. You got people coming into the country that don't have the same values that your parents may have had or that our nation actually espouses to. So if you say nothing and you do nothing, we're going to be pillaged. Look at what's happening in England right now.
Not only that, but a lot of people died for that right, for people to vote, and people want to throw it out.
Absolutely. And the truth is this, man. It's like, and there's one last thing. There actually is a final thing that I want to say. And this is to Republicans as a whole, right? After what happened in 2025 during this race, the entire leadership of the NJGOP resigned, and for good reason. And I believe all the consultants that were involved needed to be fired, and for good reason. You guys have been running the simple, country club insider conversation, like the things we talk about amongst conservatives. We're caught in what my campaign manager likes to call a bubble. You know what I mean? We understand these things. We understand a lot of these nuances, and we'll talk and pat ourselves on the back amongst things that are cool amongst us, but the average person is not aware. And there isn't an incentive to step outside the box. As I would step outside the box, hey, Billy, you're doing a little too much, right? But I outperformed everybody in the state in some of the hardest conditions ever, right? So it's like if I'm doing that and you're not, and you are leading the party, and you see young people that want to get involved in this party, but you're telling us, go vote for this old boomer guy who's not actually going to be as vocal as he needs to be, or he's not actually going to run the way he needs to. And then young people, and I've seen lots of them already, who decided to get involved in politics, many of them get checked out when they see the party say, oh, well, you need to wait your turn. You need to sit down. This isn't a game of wait your turn. It's a matter of who is best, who can represent us the best. If this young man beats your boomer candidate, that's a you problem.
Know what? And I totally agree. I hate when people, I had a friend who he now has a very successful restaurant here in town. I won't say his name because I don't know if I have his permission, but before that he was looking, he started with a pizzeria in Short Hills, and the reason he had to do it in Short Hills is he was looking at another one here in our hometown, and the landlord didn't want to rent to him because he was only 21. And you know what? It's like, sometimes if somebody has a drive, you can't.
Right.
It's only older people that are going to tell you can't because
Exactly.
you're young. I hate people that just stand and say you can't, but don't actually help you or give you any advice. Watch out for those people. Those are people that they may call themselves your friend or say they're on your team, but those people are not really rooting for you. You got to be careful with those kinds of people in your life. If somebody's telling you the reasons you can't do something, but they're not offering an ounce of advice on how to do it correctly or any guidance, they're not really trying to help you.
I mean,
I don't know who needs to hear that, but
a lot of them do, bro. And the truth is you look at most of the millionaires that are being created today. By and large, a lot of these, I would call it new wealth that's being created by a lot of these young millionaires. Whether it's they're starting something online or getting involved in media or investing in Forex or stock or crypto or real estate, or there's a lot of young people that are taking advantage of opportunities that didn't exist 20 plus years ago. I think politics is one of those opportunities, right? How did someone like AOC, for example, who in my opinion, which is controversial to some people, in my opinion, the smartest person that's in Congress right now is AOC. Not because of her policies, but because she understands how to move a nation. A lot of people in politics don't understand that. I haven't seen a single Republican that actually understands how to do that.
What makes you say that?
So, for example, right? When AOC first hit the scene, what was she known for?
Being a bartender?
Well, there's that. But okay, let me narrow it down.
Pouring drinks for Nancy?
What policy position was she most known for when she started?
What was it?
You don't remember?
No.
The Green New Deal.
Oh yes, I do.
The Green New Deal.
Yeah.
See, it's so back in history.
It seems like another time, yeah.
But Green New Deal, she ran on that, right? And she knew, whether she knew or not, she definitely caught on to it very early on, that people think I'm crazy talking about this Green New Deal thing, but what did she do? She doubled down. She went on social media. She did live streams regularly. She was engaging with the people and constantly, Green New Deal, socialism, progressive, Green New Deal. What are all these young people looking at? That's a young woman that looks like me. In fact, she's younger than me, and she's putting forth a policy that I agree with, even if we as conservatives do not agree with it. I can get behind that lady, right? They throw their information behind her. None of the other politicians at the time are taking advantage of social media or getting their message to young adults,
that's
right?
a big thing.
So a large portion of my social media strategy, I actually stole a lot of it from the way AOC gets her messages across, right?
Yeah.
I know if I want to grow it, I got to talk to these people. So Green New Deal didn't go through with her, right? But Bernie Sanders ran for president, right? He started pushing the socialism thing. He talked about the Green New Deal. He didn't win, but he was arguably extremely popular, right? Even to this day, there's some Republicans that could even say, like, yeah, Joe Biden shouldn't have been the guy. It should have clearly been Bernie Sanders, right? So say what you will about that. But he didn't win. Joe Biden runs for president, right? He doesn't do the Green New Deal, but he does Build Back Better. And there's large tenets of the Green New Bill that's in the Build Back Better. So did AOC actually win? She knew that if I get in Washington, D.C., and I get in front of that microphone, the most powerful piece of our government, in my opinion, doesn't lie in the legislation that the congressperson can put ahead, right? Because I could put, let's say, the 8-10-12 plan, right? But I don't have the final say on that policy. That policy will go to one of the committees that it gets assigned to, and I may not even be on that committee.
You're just passing the ball.
Right. So the people on that committee could probably say, we like this bill, but let's add another addendum to that and put that every child gets a pig on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
The Republicans see it on the House floor. That's a dumb bill. We shoot it down. Look at the Republicans infighting.
But then you're stopping,
Right. But if I talk to the nation, if I can talk to the nation on that microphone, it's on public record, it's on C-SPAN, it's on the Congressional record, it's going to be on social media, they're going to clip it, even if they take it out of context, they're going to talk about it. The same way Trump says some things that you don't like, he knows you're going to talk about it. There's no such thing as bad press, there's no such thing as bad media. If you can keep talking about me, same with Charlie Kirk, right? Charlie Kirk's a racist, he's a this, he's a that, God rest his soul, he gets killed. The people, some of them that were calling him racist that didn't even know, went and looked for themselves because they wanted to validate
and
their
they were
hatred for this
enlightened.
guy.
They were enlightened, you know.
You
But
see?
some people don't, though. If it doesn't agree with what they're saying,
It
they'll
doesn't-
completely dismiss it. I've seen that too.
It doesn't really matter though, because at the end of the day, there's Democrats that are or even people in between and liberals that may never respect or may never like Charlie Kirk or may never like the conservative party, whatever.
That's okay.
But they were willing to actually look at what he was talking about, because if I'm going to have a talking point, I want to make sure what I'm talking about is legit, right? And there are Democrats that have common sense like that, right?
Yeah.
Some of them may have been swayed, some of them may have not, but they've been exposed to an avenue they otherwise wouldn't have if it wasn't for all that social media, if it wasn't for all that engagement that was happening. You would have never even considered, well, what are the Republicans talking about? You look at it wanting to prove them wrong, and some of their minds change.
I see a big split with Republicans right now, concerning foreign affairs, and to tale as old as time, should we be in the Middle East or not? And I think a lot more Americans are starting to come around to America first. Where do you stand on that?
I'm a nationalist, bro.
Okay.
And some people stray away from that, bro. Like I'm a nationalist. Like I happen to be a Republican because I'm a conservative, and that's the party that closely aligns with what I stand for. But I'm from the school of thought that I don't care what is going on outside of the borders of the United States in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what's happening in Ukraine. I don't care what's happening in Iran. I don't care about what's happening in Israel, what's happening in any other nation.
Especially not when our own house needs work,
Right. Now, it's one thing if people are being killed and slaughtered and whatever, and there's no one coming to their aid. That's one thing I can understand, and that's also one of the reasons why I wasn't in full support of what Israel was doing in Israel, whatever, with Palestine and whatnot, right? But you say something like that, and suddenly you're a bigot because I don't want to see people getting bombed and killed.
People hear that come out of your mouth, and they'll automatically associate you and say, and then they just everything else you've said, it just goes out the window.
They'll say you're an anti-Semite because I don't want to see people getting bombed. How about this? I don't want my money being used for that. Right?
Yeah,
that's one thing, right? You even see what's going on in Nigeria right now, right? There's thousands of Christians.
And we're not there. We're not there. We're so involved in this other war.
I mean, my thing is like it's one thing. If your nation is fighting back and you're trying to defend your country, that's one thing, right? But then if you're left to your own and you're being slaughtered and you're being killed and there's no one willing to come to your aid, I think that's the only time where intervention actually makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, bro, like I don't believe America should be involved in any of these foreign conflicts or any foreign country, especially considering that we're about $38 trillion in debt and it's only rising. Something that the next generation is going to have to figure out how they're going to pay off. I think that in the next
in the next 10 years or so, I can see our country becoming more nationalistic in its approach. I think that a lot of the young people, especially in Generation Z, who have watched the baby boomer generation, that have watched Generation X, that have watched our generation as the millennials, right? I've noticed that in society, every new generation counteracts what the previous generation did. You know what I'm saying? While the Generation X grew up in, you know, the 80s to like late 70s, you know, they were rebelling against what the boomers were doing, or even before them, the generation before them that rebelled and had the whole hippie movement or whatever. Fast forward to the 90s, and the whole thing was being, you know, counterculture and against government and punk rock and hip hop, and all these things started happening, right? But it became such a liberal, open, anything goes type of ideology that you fast forward, and this is the generation we grew up in as millennials. Generation Z sees all this, right? Like, okay, our country used to be very great, and then it slowly deteriorated to a point where, you know, you can be any gender you want, you can change whatever you want, we should spend all this money, it should go over here, we're going to be screwed, I can't afford a house. If I'm a young kid, and I'm like 17 years old, and I'm 18 years old, and my parents are talking about go to college, or start a business, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and all this nonsense, how am I going to do that if my nation doesn't even take my priorities seriously? I don't think that any of these parties represent what I stand for. I think we as Americans, we as young Americans, the ones that are going to inherit this country and inherit where we decide to go, we need to focus purely on America first. I don't care if that offends you. I don't care if that upsets you. I don't care if that makes things worse for you in the short term, wherever you are outside of our borders, because right now, all I care about is America moving forward. That's where I stand today. And I think the next generation of Americans are going to stand there too.
Amen. What
Zach,
a great
make
answer.
sure to hit the applause button.
Yeah, that was... What an amazing answer. Thank you, Billy. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And even from a religious standpoint, it's like we got to make sure we got to keep ourselves okay before we can even think about helping others. And the only reason I'm okay with us, if we did send any help to Nigeria, I mean, I see videos of a pastor standing above his a congregation of dead people with children in this pit, and he's saying, I know you see these videos, U.S., like, where are you? And you know, when people need help like that, that's what I'm talking about. Should be helping.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not helping stomp out another, you know.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, and some Republicans will stray away from this, like, oh, well, you know, don't comment about what's going on in Palestine and whatever. At the end of the day, the beef that's going on, some people are going to think it's controversial, but it is what it is. The reason why that beef is going on between Israel and Palestine, bottom line, is because neither of them accept Jesus Christ. Neither of them are unified in Jesus Christ. They both reject Jesus, and I pray for both sides to actually come and accept him, because I think that's what will tie everything together. You know, at the end of the day, the fighting and the infighting that's going on there is like, I see the Zionist movement here in the United States saying that we should support sending you guys money so that we can go and drop bombs over here. No. The same way I don't support my money going to Palestine and they do God knows what with their money. No. Now, in a perfect world, if this was going on and there's a military that's bombing what's going on, I mean, that's bombing the people in Palestine or bombing the people in Gaza, at the end of the day, I don't want something like that to happen. You say something like that publicly, though, you're public enemy number one. You hate the Jewish people. You don't like the Jewish people. Straight up nonsense.
It's propaganda. It's. I'm so sick of it because it's just so untrue.
Well, it doesn't help when you have our politicians like Ted Cruz, for example, or, you know,
I mean, we could criticize our own government all day long, and nobody calls you a racist or an anti-Semite, but then the second you say, hey, I think it's a little concerning how much influence a foreign government, the state of Israel, has in the United States, and my own sister-in-law texted me and said, you're going to be breeding hate. I'm not. I'm breeding truth.
And you know why I'm very happy that you said that, bro, is because like I have a lot of Israeli friends. My campaign manager is Israeli. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he has his reasons for why he supports the war. And like there's me that, well, it's not about whether I support the war or not. I just don't want money going over there. I don't want this war to continue. But I also know a lot of Israelis and a lot of Jewish people that straight up don't want the war to happen. They don't want rockets from Hamas hitting them, and I understand that. But they also don't want this war to continue. They want to find some kind of peaceful solution, whether that's a two-state or whatever. I'll let them handle that on their own. That's something America should not even get involved in. You know, but at the end of the day, there's Israelis and Jews that don't want this war to continue. They don't want the fighting to continue. I mean, when the hostages were released and the ceasefire happened, everyone was happy. But then, you know, Netanyahu starts like, well, we got to go and eliminate the last couple of people. And Trump's like, they got to disarm, they got to drop the bombs. I'm like, listen, bro, All right, we got the people home. There needs to be a solution to get rid of it. You know who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
This is what frustrates me about it, right? It's like, the leadership is not in Gaza. They're not in the West Bank. They're hanging out over there in Kuwait. They're hanging out in Qatar. These are American allies. We know exactly where these people are. Soleimani goes and does some nonsense. We take him out with a drone. We know exactly who these people are. So why are we in a situation where it's like, hey, you're gonna disarm, we're gonna get rid of you, or you disarm and you give our people back? Okay, now that you have the people back, and we know that the hostages are safe, the people of Palestine want to be free too. They don't want to deal with all of this nonsense. They don't want to deal with all this war. You know who the leaders are.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that you're not going after them shows me that there's a far bigger agenda that's going on.
Oh, for sure, man.
If I know,
hey, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Listen, bro, it's like, you know Patterson, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in Patterson. It's like, if you see guys that are like on opposing, teams, and they see an op on the other side of town, they say, you know what? I know I can get that guy right there, right? I know where he lives, I know where he stands, I know where his grandma's at, I know where everything is, but then he goes and shoots up a school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, bro, the guy that you want is there.
So
like,
totally,
there may be nonsense going on in the school, but he's the head of the snake.
Yeah. It makes me sick because you just said the reason is that it's two religions that both don't have Jesus Christ, and I see so many self-proclaimed Christians here in America that are so quick to justify bombing hospitals, leaving kids to rot in their beds for weeks.
Right.
And it's like, why can't you condemn these actions?
Right.
What has you so... Oh, well, they had it happen to them. I don't care what had happened to them.
I don't want to see that.
It's yes, exactly. Why can't we just be anti-death?
Right.
And now I'm not some 20-year-old kid on campus smoking weed saying, why does there have to be war? I understand war needs,
Right.
Not that it's a necessity, but we're never gonna end war and conflicts and religious conflicts or whatever it is. But I'm just so sick of the justifications and the answers that I get back from people when I say, why is Israel allowed to do this? Why are they allowed to claim religion why does that shield them from criticism from the world on some of these things, man? Like, I saw footage of them, they bombed this hospital. Okay, if there's a target in the hospital, whatever, it's speculation, but what they do is they do the double tap and they wait for first responders. These aren't military people. These are like paramedics and firefighters. These are people that their calling in life is to serve and to help people. Mm-hmm. And these people are on the staircase helping, and you see another bomb, and just like that, 15 people just gone, erased. And it's like, how can people see that and think, yeah, these are the good guys?
Let's play devil's advocate here for a second, right?
Yeah.
Because I always like to look at situations from both scenarios. Let's say the IDF is like, well, these EMTs, and I'm sure you've heard this on the media too, like these EMTs or these first responders, they're blending in, they're actually Hamas, they're actually all these things, right? They supported Hamas because they voted for him. Well, there's a gun to your head. You either vote for Hamas or you vote for Hamas. Yeah. Let's say these guys are Hamas. Right?
Okay.
But a couple months ago, you blew up their whole damn family. That guy could have probably wanted nothing to do with either side. Mm-hmm. He could have probably wanted to live peacefully, and you blew his kids out of the water.
Yeah.
Right? Would you expect that guy to just come at you with open arms?
Yeah.
That's why the solution of let's just drop the bombs doesn't actually resolve the issue. It just creates more terrorists. It's the same scenario we had in the Middle East between Iraq and Afghanistan, especially in Afghanistan. For every single Taliban or Al-Qaeda member that you killed, 4 more would pick up the gun and redo the exact same thing.
Yeah.
To the point that there's kids that are now picking up guns and fighting. So the solution needs to be more amicable than let's just continue to drop bombs.
What a great answer. Thank you, Billy. All right. And look, it just cut it
again, but they both do it at the same time. At least it did it right after the answer. All right. Let's go ahead, Sebastian.
Right.
What do you got?
Yeah. I want to bring it back, Billy, to
we went into the rabbit hole.
Patterson. We did a lot of different topics. I love it. I love the exchange. But I want to bring it back to your district of Patterson because that's your home and that's your district. Patterson's the beating heart of this district. It's working class, diverse. It's fed up with one-party rule. You've been there door to door. What's the one message that you're hammering to Patterson voters?
The number one message that I'm hammering to Patterson voters is 2 things. Number one, what I believe is going to help fix Patterson more than anything, I think it's going to help fix the rest of the nation, is repairing our education system and actually allowing for more opportunity to be created. But opportunities can't exist without a skilled workforce to actually fulfill these opportunities, right? If we are able to help convert every high school into a trade program, allow businesses to invest into these programs, and provide opportunities for kids to learn skills where they can not only give back to their country, but actually put some cash in their pocket and build a stable future. That's one of the most surefire ways to get us out of poverty. The second thing is like we need representation that actually listens to you. We shouldn't have reactive policies. We should have defensive policies. For example, when the water main break happened in Patterson, right? A lot of people were wondering, when are we going to get water back? Water was out for about a week and a couple of days, and people are wondering, what's the solution that we're going to do here? And I put out a press release where I basically was attacking Nellie Poe, and I said, listen, this water main break happened, and when you were elected, you were put on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, right? Yeah. Now she doesn't have a direct flick the switch and things get done, solution to the problem. But the issue is you sit on this committee, which means all the people that are on this committee have the ability to put together legislation or even access resources or even request resources from different federal agencies to help resolve an issue. And because you sit on that committee, you also have the ability to help fast track a lot of these problems that need to get resolved, right? But why did it take until BillyPrempeh came out and put out a press release that, the following day, now suddenly, I'm going to come and take care of the water main crisis, but the entire time you're on the other side of the world on an AIPAC-funded trip to Israel, And granted, you want to go and speak on behalf of another group, that's one thing, but that's a conversation that could have been had on Zoom, especially in a situation when our district is in a crisis. If Bill Pascrell was still here, for example, right, he would have still went on that trip. Don't get me wrong. He would have still went on that trip. But the thing is, he would have done things differently, right? Because the issue is not the trip. The issue is the fact that it took you so long to respond. If Bill was out there, Bill would have had one of his people on the street. He would have had his team trying to disperse water, or he would have put out a statement, or when I get back to the district, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on. I'm not even in Congress, and I had to say that before you acted. Yeah. So that shows me that even your predecessor had a lot more of an intention of resolving an issue, because he also knows that's the lifeblood of him remaining in office, but people are looking forward to that. So the message that I give to the people in Patterson is vote. And I tell this to everyone, don't vote for me because I'm a Republican. I don't want anybody to vote for me purely because I'm a Republican. Vote for me because you like what I stand for, you like my policies, and you believe that I'm going to be the person that's going to represent you to the best of my ability. Vote for me for those reasons. Whether you're Democrat, Independent, or anybody in between, if you think my policies make sense, vote for that, because that's what my job is to be, not to represent the party, to represent you in the 9th district
and be a voice.
Amen. And that's it. That's our job as representatives.
That's who we need,
of course.
Amazing. We're behind it, Billy. I hope you get it. I do. You deserve it. And it just screams integrity to me. Even the fact that you lost the first time and you got right back up on the horse, that tells me that it's not an ego thing. You're not doing this for you. Because if somebody who's doing it for their ego, when they lose, that hurts. Bro, it's too bad to get back up. And I'm sure it did hurt, But the fact that you're getting back up and going at it again, it just shows that you care. Yeah. That's what it tells me. And we're all flawed, but as long as you care and you have, the best intentions for the people, and I think you do. So you have my support. I wish I could vote for you, but unfortunately I'm not in that district. But I'll get you. I'll try. I'll do my best to get you a couple votes.
No doubt, man.
All right. Did you have anything else, Sebastian, to close out?
Ladies and gentlemen, BillyPrempeh, Air Force vet, vote swing machine, and the man who's going to paint District 9 red in 2026. There you go. Billy, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless New Jersey. And thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
It means a lot, man.
And for everybody that's at home tuning into this podcast, if you want to learn more, go to www.BillyPrempeh.com. You can find me on social media by typing either BillyPrempeh or some guy named Bill. You have to understand what's at stake here. We currently have the majority in Washington, D.C., but if we lose this majority for whatever reason, understand that almost instantaneously they're going to undo everything that President Trump has done. They're going to undo any of the motions that we're trying to push our country into, and we're going to be facing impeachments regularly as opposed to getting things done for the American people. So if you're a young voter, even if you're an older voter and you're watching this, understand what's at stake. Get behind the campaign, www.BillyPrempeh.com. I look forward to representing you in Washington, D.C. come 2026.
Amen. Use your right to vote. Thank you, everybody.
You want to plug our socials, Zach? You know them better than me.
Yeah, of course, you can follow us on Instagram at Bridge.American. On Twitter, it's Bridge.America. And on YouTube, it's just Bridge.America. We'll tag that in the bottom though. Thank you again, Billy. It's been an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you
good
for
luck.
having me.
Best of luck to you, man. We'll be
Yes,
watching
sir.
closely for sure. And thank you to all you out there watching.